said this before, but they give you so much height. Right. And I just wonder, how would you use the entire height? What if you built like an arcology that just uses the entire height limit as a city? Just build a city with up to the entire height limit. I tried that in my old world. Didn't get very far. And considering how long it's gonna take just to build this tower, probably not gonna do it here either. Just because how long it's gonna take, right? But the idea of it. Because there's mega projects in the real world too. Saudi Arabia is doing a bunch of mega projects, which I'm a little bit dubious about. I mean, from a technical standpoint, you can probably do it. Giant skyscrapers, and this thing they call the line, because it's gonna have like a linear city in the desert. Technically it probably works, I'm just wondering what the economic case for it is, right? It seems like a lot of money to spend on something that probably won't produce a lot of benefits. Probably. Maybe I should go visit some of these big ass skyscrapers. The one in Dubai, what's it called now? They keep changing the name. The Burj Dubai, is that what it's called now? Tallest building in the world. How high are you allowed to go? Like, can you just visit every floor? Just go to Dubai for a week and just spend the whole week inside the building. Just climbing the tower. And just checking out every single floor or something. But like, is it practical? Is it economically practical? Like, if you buy an apartment in the Burj Dubai, would you be happy about it? Is it a good investment? The thing with arcologies is that there's a lot of stuff that you would normally get as quote-unquote ecosystem services, which if you build an artificial environment, you would have to provide those services artificially, mechanically, right? Things like lighting, air conditioning, you know. In the real world, sunlight is just a lot of free lighting. Whereas if you have a giant building, and the interior of your giant building doesn't get very much light, then you have to pay for lighting. Pay in terms of energy, in terms of lighting equipment, like lights basically, which then will wear out and you have to replace. basically you have to pay for a lot of stuff that you otherwise would not have to pay for. And in exchange for that cost, are there sufficient benefits to outweigh the costs? Right, that's the question. And the answer is probably no, except that, you know, in Saudi Arabia, where there's a lot of desert, maybe you can make it work, right? Because if there's not much rain and there's too much sun, like if there's too much sun anyway, then maybe if you just block some of it out, it'll be okay. Right, like in Saudi Arabia, you kind of need air conditioning anyway. So then, if that's the case, if every single building is air conditioned anyway, then having one giant building, and therefore a less surface area, maybe that becomes cost effective because you are in that environment. Like it wouldn't be cost effective in another part of the world. I don't know, maybe. Maybe. Okay, so at this level we have a balcony, right? So we can go 1, 2, 3, etc. And I need a lot more of these pillars. Is it 3? It's 3. Wait, is it the corners? Oh, it's not the ones in the middle, it's only the corners. That's interesting. Why did I choose to do that? It's only the corners, not the ones in the middle? Huh. I just dropped that block all the way down. Let's check the balcony. How did I build it? I dropped those blocks all the way down. Do I care enough to pick them up? Is the question. Ah, there's 3. I dropped 3 blocks all the way down. There's 1 there. Where are the other 2? Oh, there they are. Alright, so while I'm here, let me make more of these pillars. And I'm also gonna need the blocks. Like 3 of those. And I don't know how many blocks I need. Well, let me just like, grab 4 of those or something. 5. Oh, I didn't double check. So this is only at the corners. 1, 2, 3. I should look up the demographics of Saudi Arabia. Like he's Mohammed bin Salman and his governments, they're proposing to build these giant buildings. Does Saudi Arabia have that many people? I guess they do. I just need to do a bit more research on this before I talk about it. Because if the country is going through urbanization anyway, as in people are wanting to move into cities, or maybe like they live in older stuff that they want to move out of into newer stuff, well then that makes a lot of sense, right? To build a whole new city. How serious is the Middle East? Urbanization deficit, because Egypt is like building new cities as well. I think Egypt is building a new capital. And it does make sense because the old capital is kind of old. And it's kind of difficult to upgrade an old city because you have all the existing stuff that you have to figure out what you're gonna do with. And sometimes it's just easier to start from scratch, and if your population is increasing, and it's kind of dark, isn't it? We'll just put some torches down temporarily. If your population is increasing anyway, then you might as well just, build a whole new city. But all of this depends on the demographics and the economic conditions in the existing cities. Which... let me put the boundary down. In the West, we're not really used to this because the last time there's been a big population boom was in the post-war period. The boomers. And during that time, there was like a lot of city building. Obviously, after the Second World War in Europe, there was a lot of rebuilding. And in the United States, there was also a big baby boom, and there was a lot of construction of new suburbs. Whereas these days, where is the population growing these days? In Africa? Is that right? Africa, Middle East. Latin America, I'm not sure about. Probably need more iron bars here. How many more are we talking about? Let's go with that. Alright, continuing with this. course, the risk with big mega projects, like what Saudi Arabia is proposing and actually doing, is that you're master planning cities, and so it's not guaranteed that your plan is what people need, right? You really need to be good at planning, be good at identifying people's needs if you want to get it right. Did I put it 3 blocks up or 2 blocks up? Why is this 2 blocks up? Why is it 3 blocks up on the inside? I mean, right now China has a bit of a housing oversupply. And that, you know, you can call that bad planning, I guess, like because you've misjudged how many houses you're gonna need. Although it's not really centralized planning, China's housing. They kind of just let the developers go for it. And the developers misjudged demand. I mean, having said that, if you look at the United States, there's a shortage of housing. I mean, they were just talking about it in the news. The Fed chairman, Jerome Powell, just said that there's a housing shortage problem. And especially because they raised the interest rates recently, the people who locked in their mortgages at a lower rate, they can't change their mortgages anymore because they can't afford to, right? Because they locked in their mortgages at a low rate. If they refinance anything, if they change anything, they have to pay more interest. And so then nobody wants to change anything, and so then people are just holding on to their houses and not selling. Because if they sell and they kind of borrow money to buy a different house, it will cost them more, right? Right. So now there's a shortage of houses coming onto the market in the United States as a consequence. So it's like nobody really gets housing right. Like either you oversupply or you undersupply or you're gonna misjudge, build the wrong kind of houses. So I guess if the Saudis, if their big city building projects don't work out, it's not like they're the only ones, right? It seems like everybody gets it wrong. Should look this up. Let me try to remember to look up population dynamics in the Middle East, urbanization rates, infrastructure deficits, and then maybe just look at some pictures.